Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Saptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupyasya Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining. Monday afternoon, very difficult to. So yesterday we were discussing about Narada Muni's answer to Prachina Barhi in order to inspire him to take up bhakti, giving up whatever karmakand rituals he was performing. He was not even inspiring to take up jnana with an intention to go to Brahman. So that was the whole background. So now the king kind of expresses his precarious condition and he wants to clarify some of the doubts that he had in the process that he was following since childhood, karma kanda rituals, all karma yoga, sakama karma, etc. So with that, with the clarification of those doubts, as being inspired by Narada Muni, having told the story of the second story of a deer, which is engrossed in eating grass and smelling the aroma of the lotus flower, beautiful flowers around, and hearing to the music without noticing the wolves are waiting for that deer to come close by, or the hunter standing behind ready to shoot the arrow. So with that indicated that you should take up bhakti immediately. So eventually at the end of this chapter, after being clarified of his doubts, he will follow as it is mentioned by Narada Muni and will obtain perfection. So that is the remaining part of the chapter. Now, first of all, the king expresses his precarious condition and accepts Narada Muni as his guru and asks for the clarification of few more doubts that he had in relation to karma, etc. We will continue with verse number 56. Rajovacha Shrutam Anvikshitam Brahman Bhagavan Yad Abhasata Naitam Jananti Upadaya Kim na Bhuyur Viduryadi.
The king replied, My dear Brahmana, whatever you have said, I have heard with great attention, and considering all of it, have come to the conclusion that the acharyas, that is, teachers, who engage me in fruitive activity, did not know this confidential knowledge. If they were aware of it, why did they not explain it to me?
Yeah, king says that, O Brahmana, O respectable Narada Muni, I have heard and considered Shrutam Anvikshitam. I have heard the allegorical story. I have heard the meaning of the story. I have heard the purport of the story. And I have heard the need of the urgency of the story. Everything I have heard. And I considered that I need to take up bhakti immediately. Thank you very much for everything. Based on what you have spoken, the teachers do not know this. My teachers who are teaching me from my childhood, they do not know this, what you have taught me. If they knew, why did they not tell me all this? That one need to practice bhakti immediately or instantly. What you spoke has been heard and later seen, considered and absorbed. So what you spoke is actually true. I could really understand. If we follow this, really it will manifest. It will lead to entry into spiritual world. The sages present here in this assembly made me study karma only. They do not know about bhakti. If they know about bhakti, then why they do not tell me? From today you are my guru. Because they don't know, they could not tell. So they are not my guru, because you told that he who knows the real action, he who knows the Supreme Lord can only be the guru, who should be worshipped like the Supreme Lord. So you told me that. So I'll accept you. You know the reality. You know the distinction between the matter and two spirits. I accept you as my spiritual master. So in that way. So like that, our Prachinabari surrenders to Narada Muni. Shishyasteham Shadimam Tam Prapannam. Skarpanya dosho pata swabhava pruchamitam dharma sammuda cheta. Yashreyastan nichitam bruitanme. Please tell me what is that one thing which is for my ultimate benefit. Like Arjuna tells to Krishna. And he says that I am your disciple, please teach me properly. Same way, he is surrendering to Narada Muni, accepting Narada Muni as his revered spiritual master. So in that way. Then he further continues, expressing that he has one doubt about the karma that he was following since childhood. Samshayotra tu me vipra, samchinnastat mahan, rushayopi hi muyanti, yatra nendriya vrittaya.
My dear Brahmana, there are contradictions between your instructions and those of my spiritual teachers who engage in my intuitive activities. I now can understand the distinction between devotional service, knowledge, and renunciation. I had some doubts about them, but you have now very kindly dissipated all these doubts. I can now understand how even the great sages are bewildered by the real purpose of life. Of course, there is no question of sense gratification.
O Brahmana, you have destroyed my great doubt created by these teachers, by your teachings. Even sages who have controlled the senses are bewildered. The sages who are in this assembly, even though they have complete mastery over their senses and mind, but still they are bewildered in ascertaining the true essence of the Vedas. The doubt created by the teachers who taught by contrary statements that Bhakti, Jnana, and Vairagya were impossible has been completely, decisively cut by you. So it seems that the Brahmanas, who were the teachers of the king till now, have created a doubt in the heart of Prachinabari that Bhakti, Jnana, and Ashtanga Yoga were impossible. They are not meant for Kshatriyas. Only some highly renounced Brahmanas who are living in the forest and recluse can practice those things like that, they must have said. So for the people in the city, it is not possible. So they have told like that, it seems. So but now Nardamani is telling that Bhakti is meant for everyone. So anyone can practice. That doubt has been destroyed in the heart of Prachinabari. The sages in whom sense actions do not prevail, who have conquered the senses, are bewildered. Out of illusion, they only perform karma, and they make persons like me perform karma only. How unfortunate for persons like us. Both the Brahmanas and me, we are all unfortunate people. We have not understood what should be the real activity of the life, what should be the real goal of life. Instead, they and we thought that karma, jnana, sorry, bhakti, jnana, and yoga are impractical. So we should do karma only. Thinking like that, we were all engaged in karma since childhood. So like that, he kind of expresses his unfortunate situation to Narada Muni. Then now he wants to clarify whatever remnants of doubts he had and then move on to forest to practice bhakti with one point at attention. Karmani arabhatena पुमान् इह विहायतम् अमूर्तान्येन देहेन जुष्टानि सा यदश्नुते.
The results of whatever a living entity does in this life are enjoyed in the next life.
He's saying that giving up the body, giving up the gross body by which one performs various activities, a person then enjoys the results of those activities in a different gross body on another planet after death. So this is his understanding after hearing about karma. It is said that yesterday we were referring to those verses. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadante vipachita vedavad ratapartha nandasthitivadina kama atmana sargapara janma karma falapradam kriya vishesha bolam bhogeshware gatim prati. Basically, whatever rituals one performs here in a human body, after death, one will go to heaven and get a devata body and then enjoy the results. This is what I have understood, that in this body, when I perform rituals nicely, in the next body, I will get enjoyment in the heaven, which is a different abode. That is the principle of karma. I have one more doubt concerning the path of karma. Please destroy that doubt. What is that? A person gives up the gross body with which he performed various activities and then attains the results in Swarga or in hell in another body, in another abode after death. So a person living here along with us in a particular gross body performs both pious and impious activities, and eventually after death, either one may go to Swarga or Naraka. There one experiences the results of the activity that one performs here in this life. This is explained in the Shastra, in the scripture. How is that suitable? In other words, is it not wrong that he performs actions in one body and then enjoys results in another body, in another life, at another place? What is this? I think that whatever activities one is performing now, that too here in this body, here in this life, in this place, one should get the results immediately in the same body, in the same place, in the same life. Why one should get the results in a different gross body, at a different place, in a different life? So this is the doubt I had. Though Shastra spoke about it, my teachers told about this to me, but have a doubt. Why you should do like that? It should happen immediately. You should not go to the next life. This could be one of the reasons, that because kings, as the administrators, whenever somebody makes a crime or some mistake, that criminal will be administered punishment immediately. So that is the law and order. The kings sees or hears about the criminal act of the victim and then gives punishment immediately. So it might be extrapolating at the same principle, that when we perform Vedic rituals now, we should get the result now only, just like the punishment is awarded. Instead, Shastra says that they will go to hell or they will go to heaven to experience the results of their activities. Going to hell, going to heaven means the current gross body is gone with which they perform activities. They get new gross body in a new abode, new place, new time. So this is my doubt. Please clarify this. And then, in addition to that doubt, he had one more simple doubt, a connecting doubt. Iti veda vidan vada shruyate tatra tatraha karma yat kriyate proktam paroksham na prakashate.
The expert knows of the Vedic conclusions say that one enjoys or suffers the results of his past activities. But practically, it is seen that the body that performed the work in the last birth is already lost. So how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of that work in a different body?
This statement is heard from the knowers of the Vedas. The teachers have told me this, that if you do action now, you will get the results in the next life, either in heaven or hell, with a different gross body, a different time frame. And he said that also I have one more doubt. The action prescribed in the Vedas that is performed disappears with the end of the act, and its future result is also absent. His doubt is that when we perform certain activity, as soon as we complete the activity, activity is over, and the result will come in the future life. Shastra says, but right now the activity disappears. How can I believe that the result will manifest in the next life? One thing, first of all, the result also should manifest now. If it is not manifesting now, it will manifest in the future. How is that possible? So I really doubtful about this, because we don't see that action is being performed continuously. So action performed now and it is forgotten. Why the result will be given after a lot of time? Maybe in the next life or next life, next life. So like that, why so much delay is in that particular process of awarding the results? So that is my doubt. Kindly clarify. So like that is asking Narada Muni to clarify both the doubts. Here he raises another doubt. The action mentioned in the Vedas, which is performed by men, immediately disappears the next moment. Whatever activity that we perform, it vanishes in no time. The fade generated from the act, though existing, is absent. Since we see no evidence of its existence, how then can one enjoy the results on another abode after death? It is very difficult for me to understand. There is one more on the table. डायरेक्ट लगाओ क्या? अभी छोड़ दो, अभी चलते हैं ना. ये करो. 1 second. So for these two questions, Narada answers from 60 to 79 verses. Able to follow? The last 5 verses, the questions of our Prachina Barhi and Narada Muni about karma.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Harival Prabhuji, I joined late. Can you just say in just like what is the questions about? Just in one line.
First question is, whatever activity that we perform in the current life with the current gross body,
Okay.
Shastra says that we experience the results in the next life in a different abode, either Swarga or Naraka.
Okay.
Why it is like that? As far as my knowledge, whenever somebody makes mistakes, I punish them immediately as a king. So I expect the results that should come right now. So how is that? Why I perform activities in this body and experience results in this body? That seems to be inappropriate. That is one thing. The second thing is that when I do some activity, maybe that activity may last for 1 hour. After 1 hour, that activity is gone. How can Shastra will tell that the result of that activity will come the next life? What is the guarantee? Or why should come the next life? Why not now immediately? जब activity कर रहे तुरंत result आना चाहिए. Why I have to perform activity now for a result which is going to come in the next life? So that is the question.
So valid, no, Prabhu?
Valid. Let's see what Narada Muni will say.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Okay. Hariksha. येनैवारभते कर्म तेनैवामुत्र तत्पुमान् भुङ्क्ते अव्यवधानेन लिङ्गेन मनसा स्वयम्.
The great sage Narad continued, the living entity acts in a gross body in this life. This body is forced to act by the subtle body, composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. After the gross body is lost, the subtle body is still there to enjoy or suffer. Thus, there is no change.
So now our Narada Muni is answering both the questions very systematically. Narada Muni says, one enjoys the results of the activities that one performs now after death by the same body which performed the actions while living through the subtle body with the mind at the principal sense organ without obstruction of the gross body. Narada Muni says that, so my dear king, whatever you think is actually correct. One should actually experience the results in the same body, but actually it is so. One actually experiences the results with the same body, not the gross body, but with the same subtle body. So like that, Narada Muni answers. Narada Muni answered the first question. By the subtle body, by the mind principally, by the senses of which the mind is predominant in performing sin and piety, one enjoys. With whatever subtle body we perform pious or impious activities, with the same subtle body we experience the results, either in the same life or in the next life. Gross body may be same or may not be same. Gross body cannot cause disturbances in experiencing the results. Because subtle body remains same life after life, one experiences with the same subtle body. That's how Narada Muni answers. One enjoys the results of Swarga or hell by these senses in the subtle body. We have 14 senses, 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, and 4 Antakaranas. With the same 14 senses, we experience the results of all the activity that we have performed the same senses through the via medium of a particular gross body. The subtle body gives no obstacles to enjoyment. There is not obstacle of a gross body also. Because subtle body remains same. It is the same body which is performing activities, the same body which is experiencing the results. The gross body may be different, may not be different. So in that way, while I was reading, I was thinking that the gross body is like the outer clothing. Today we may go to office with some clothing, tomorrow with different clothing, day after tomorrow with different clothing. The whole month one may change clothing over 30 days, 30 variety of clothes. But at the end of the month, one get the salary. So the person is same, but external appearance may be varying. So one is doing activity, one gets the results. So something like that. So that's how Narada Muni says that with the same subtle body, one experiences the results. Gross body may be same, may not be same. It does not cause any disturbance in experiencing the results. So it's like that. Many times we see people shouting at Lord, saying that, what did I do? Did I make any mistake in my life? This fellow did not do anything. He's a very pious person. Why he is getting so many troubles, so many problems? Who knows which life one has done what? So if he says that, they say, you know, or what? So he has not done any mistake in childhood. He is a very pious person, very simple person, kind-hearted. He is getting so many problems. This is all not proper, something like that. But one experiences the results of one's own activities that one performs with one's own subtle body. Gross body may be same or may not be same. So like that, Narada Muni says. Shayanam imamustrujya swasantam purusho yata karmatmani ahitam bhunkte tadrishe netarena va.
The living entity, while dreaming, gives up the actual living body. Through the activities of his mind and intelligence, he acts in another body, either as a god or a dog. After giving up this gross body, the living entity enters either an animal body or a demigod's body on this planet or on another planet. He thus enjoys the results of the actions of his past life.
Just now, Narada Muni gives an example. How? How can you say that with the same subtle body one experiences the results in the absence of gross body? How can I understand? He gives a like, example which we can relate to. He says that just as a sleeping person gives up his identity as a waking person and experiences actions in the mind through impressions while dreaming. So the person after death enjoys on another planet with a different gross body similar to the dream body. The example is that throughout the day we perform activities with our current body, with our current identity. So I am a brahmachari, Pavaneshwar Das living in Chowpatty temple, etc. In the dream, I may get a dream that I am a bird flying from one mountain to other mountain, this, that, or something like that, whatever dream might be there. But during the dream, I forget that I am Pavaneshwar Das, I am a brahmachari in Chowpatty temple or whatever it is. Instead, I identify myself as a bird. And that time my activities are flying from one place to other place. I am trying to enjoy by flying from here to there, etc. So this is how that particular experience will be there. It's like, just to extend the same analogy, if I, while performing the activity throughout the day, I see a airplane traveling above our temple, I may develop a desire to travel, fly in the air. So in the same night, I get a dream, becoming bird, I fly in the air, or something like that. So like that, the desire is being fulfilled in that way. Just as a sleeping person gives up the identity of the waking person and experiences actions in the mind through the impressions while dreaming. So the person after death enjoys on another planet with a gross body similar to the dream body. Whatever one wants to experience or whatever one is due to experience will be experienced in one's next life based on the activities one performs now. So like a dream experience. So like that, he gives the example. Nardamni gives that example. Though the doer and the enjoyer exist through the subtle body, without the gross body, they cannot accomplish enjoyment. So Prachinabari said that though subtle body may be there, but without gross body, the subtle body alone cannot enjoy. The ghosts also have a lot of desires, but they cannot fulfill their desires. That's why the ghosts always looking for the gross body of people. They hunt another gross body, and through that gross body, they fulfill their desires. That is what is happening. That is what we hear about generally. Narada says, yes, that is true. It is the gross body which is produced by the actions. Whatever gross body we are going to get in the next life is the result of our current actions. Our today's actions will create our tomorrow's gross body. Just like during the daytime, looking at the flight, when I develop a desire to fly in the air, I wanted to have a particular bodily structure with which I want to fly in the air. So I have created the desire, and that desire will become reality in my dream. And I experience being a bird flying from one place to other place. The same way, so whatever activities we perform today with a desire to enjoy in Swarga, one will go to Swarga with one performs all the pious activities, as a result of which in one's next life one goes to Swarga, one gets the heavenly body, and one experiences all the results. So like that. The gross body of the heaven is produced by one's current actions of performing various fire sacrifices, etc. Anyway, subtle body same don't change. Only gross body will change. which is suitable to experience those results. So in that way, an example is given. Just as a sleeping body, when we go to rest, when you go to take rest in the night time, the gross body goes to sleep. Just as a sleeping body, giving up the living body of the waking state, gives up that identity, enjoys actions through the impressions in the mind. A person enjoys in other world after death in a grass body, for instance, an animal body, procured through karma, similar to the dream body. Just like in a dream, I get that I get the body of a bird and fly across. Similarly, if I am so determined to fly a lot and I do activities accordingly, next life I may get a bird's body, and that desire will be fulfilled for longer time. So like that, things happen. So one experiences the results the same body only. May not be the same gross body, but the same subtle body. Like that, Narada Muni gives the answer to the first question. Then Prabhupada writes in the purport. Similarly, if we want to serve the Lord and if we undertake activities accordingly, at the end of this life, our desire will be fulfilled, having attained a suitable gross body in the spiritual world, so that one will be able to serve the Lord in person. So like that. Prabhupada writes, Janma karma chame divyam evamuyo tattata taktva deha punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyadi mamnavaskuru mamevesha satyukta evam atmanam matparayanam. So when we do suitable activities today, we get a suitable body next life and we'll get to serve that personality whom we want to serve. So it is like the fair enough discussion. Principle is same everywhere, but what is the desire and what is the corresponding activity? That choice we need to make up. So later on or previously also Prabhupada says that yanti deva varta deva piturniyanti piturvata bhutani yanti bhutejja yanti madhyajnobhimam. So whatever desire we develop, accordingly we work and accordingly we get the result. So in that way. Able to follow, Hare Krishna?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Mamaite manasa yadyat asau ahamiti bruvan griniyat tatpuman raddam karmayena punarbhava.
The living entity labors under the bodily conception of I am this, I am that, my duty is this, and therefore I shall do it. These are all mental impressions, and all these activities are temporary. Nonetheless, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity gets a chance to execute all his mental concoctions. Thus, he gets another body.
Yeah. If Nardamni further continues, saying this is mine or I am this man, I am this person, aham mameti. We always live with this concept of aham, I am this, mama iti, this is mine, these people are mine. The jiva identifies with his gross body and performs certain activities. The jiva then receives the results of that action in his subtle body in next life. By that action performed with a certain identity, the jiva then takes birth with another gross body. This is the principle of karma. This verse explains how one's identity in the gross body helps the jiva attain the next body. Wow. He gives one example, nice example is quoted. He says that I did this sacrifice for Prachina Barhi. I have done Agnishtoma sacrifice. And this is my sacrifice for attaining Swarga. With the desire to attain Swarga, Prachina Barhi performed Agnishtoma sacrifice, thinking that he is the Yajaman of the sacrifice, he is the sponsorer, he is the performer, and he is the legitimate legitimate owner to experience the results, thinking like that. And he identifies with his particular gross body. Then the jiva in his subtle body accepts the results accomplished through actions of the previous gross body. The previous gross body is not necessary for this. Thus, by the action performed with ahankara, one takes birth again. Birth cannot take place otherwise. So, without the desire to go to a particular place and experience particular results, there will be no birth with another gross body. Only when we perform activities with aham mameti, I am this and these are mine, I am doing this activity, I am doing this activity for this purpose. Then only there is a new birth. If this thought process is not there, there will be no birth again. That's why Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we discussed this verse many times. Chapter 18, text number 6. You can refer to afterwards also. With what consciousness, when we perform all the activities required while living this material world, we will not take birth again. So Lord Krishna indicates in that verse. Of course, before that we will refer to one verse in 4th chapter, I think 13 or 14. I don't remember exactly. This is verse from after Mama Chaturvarna Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vivavasha. After this verse, he says that Namam Karmani Limpanti. None of the activities of these 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas bind me. Because why? Name Karma Phalaspuha. While performing those activities, I never identify myself as the doer of the activities. I'm never I'm never conscious of experiencing the results of those activities. Itimam yo bijanati karmabir nasabadyate. He who knows this particular principle of mine is not bound by karma. That means knowing means one should follow accordingly. One should follow in the footsteps of Lord Krishna. So what is the principle that Lord Krishna establishing here in the 4th chapter, 13th or 14th verse? He later on repeats in the 18th chapter. In the 6th verse, he says that Etani apitu karmani. So, my dear Arjuna, whatever karmas you should do, and whatever duties according to your varna and ashrama you should do, you are supposed to do, you do in a particular principle. What is that? Etani apitu karmani sangam tektva phalam phalanicha. Sangam tektva means give up the mentality that I am the doer. One should do all the activities, but should never have the mentality that I am the doer. And then Sangam Tektva, Phalanicha, Phalam Tektva. And while doing the activity, one should give up the mentality that I am the doer. And after doing the activity, one should never say that I am the enjoyer of these activities. Then one may say that why should I perform activities? I should do activity, but I should not say that I am the doer, and I should never think about enjoying the results also. Then why should I do activity? Then Krishna says, Kartavyaniti me partha. One should do all the activities as a matter of one's duty, as a matter of one's kartavya. Since one has been born in a particular gross body in a particular family, and one's gross body has been trained in a particular way since childhood, and it becomes the duty of that gross body to respond accordingly as per the need of the hour. Currently, you are a Kshatriya. You are a Kshatriya because you have been born in a Kshatriya family, you have been trained as a Kshatriya. It is the right now, the correct need of hour that you should fight and destroy all the miscreants and establish the principles of Dharma. That is a duty. That is the Kartavya of a Kshatriya. Matam Uttamam. Lord Krishna says that this is my opinion and this is the best opinion. This is my opinion and this is the best opinion among all the different opinions. So, like that. So that's how Narada Muni answered the first question. So when we do activities, the intention to experience the results, we get a gross body. When we do activities without the desire to experience the results, we'll come back to Godhead. That is the distinction. Now the second question is answered. यतानुमीयते चित्तम् उभयैरिन्द्रियैतै एवं प्राग् देहजं कर्म लक्ष्यते चित्तवृत्तिभिः.
One can understand the mental or conscious position of a living entity by the activities of two kinds of senses, the knowledge acquiring senses and the executive senses. Similarly, by the mental condition or consciousness of a person, one can understand his position in the previous life.
Just as one can infer the chitta by the knowledge senses and action senses, one can infer the actions in the previous gross body by the present functioning of the chitta. One nice principle is presenting now. This verse answers the second question. Since action disappears the moment it is performed, how can one enjoy its results in the next life? What is the proof that whatever results we are experiencing now is the result of our previous activities? That is the question. So for which Narada Muni answers by introducing uh, the pivotal element chitta. He says that one can infer the chitta by the knowledge or action senses which are not operating at the same time. Knowledge does not arise from simultaneous action of different senses. So Narada Muni says that there is something called as chitta in addition to mind. The mind and chitta all together, they act as revelators. They reveal the matter, they reveal the understanding of the matter, as well as storing the knowledge, or they keep storing the experiences within the subconscious state of mind, here calling as chitta. Says that we have 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas. When we perform activities with the help of 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas, the knowledge received by these senses is not simultaneous. The human body, at least the human intelligence, receives information from one sense at a time. It cannot receive information simultaneously from all the senses. So like that Narada Muni is telling. Knowledge does not arise from simultaneous action of the different knowledge acquiring senses. So there is a quotation from Akshapada from their commentary. Yugapat jnananu tupter manaso lingam. The quality of the mind is that knowledge does not arise simultaneously from different senses. Manaso lingam. Jnana anupatter. Yugapat. Just like one yuga after other yuga comes, the 4 yugas does not manifest simultaneously. Similarly, all the 5 knowledge acquiring senses does not give information together. They will give one after the other. So that is the understanding. Thus, when the mind unites with a particular sense, there is knowledge for the sense object of that particular sense. When we see something, we only get the information of seeing that object. When we see something, we don't get the taste of that object. Only when we taste the object, we get the taste of the object. When we hear some object, we get to hear that object, but we don't understand what is the shape of that object. How does it look like and all. With simultaneously 2 senses does not function. And one kind of information will get from one kind of sense only. And even though one object might be having multiple information at one go, but all the senses does not acquire information simultaneously. One after the other, they function. So it's like that. For example, we take a morsel during Sunday feast, there is hard prasadam. As soon as when it is coming close to us, we experience the fragrance. When we touch, we experience the touch sensation, what is cold or hot. And after that, when we put in the mouth, we experience the taste sensation. So like that, one after the other is taking place. Similarly, by the present actions of chitta, which do not arise simultaneously, the actions generated from previous bodies can be inferred. Now, for example, the prasadam example I have taken. So when we go near to the dining table, we smell the fragrance of the prasadam. After putting in the plate, while putting in the plate, we see the we see the color or complexion, a color of the prasadam. And when we touch, we experience the warmth or cold nature of that prasadam. When we put on the tongue, we experience the taste aspect. So, but individually, all the four experiences are unique. But it is the mind which combines all the four experiences, which stores all the four experiences together, saying that so and so date, so and so time, so and so prasadam menu was very wonderful. It is the mind, it is the chitta, which combines the different experience of the different senses and gives a combined result. And also, they store the experience. It is both the mind and chitta will store the experiences. After combining the experiences of the different senses, each sense has a different experience, but it is the mind and chitta combines all the experience together, and it gives a overall experience of the entire experience of having that particular meal during that particular time at a particular place. So in that way, thus when the mind unites with a particular sense, there is knowledge for that particular sense object of that particular case. Similarly, by the present functions of chitta, which do not arise simultaneously, the actions generated from previous bodies can be inferred. Since the results are being stored in the mind and chitta, and they will be revealed, the combined result will be revealed in the future. Sometimes tomorrow or next week or next year, next decade, next century or next life. We don't know. But all the results are stored in the mind as well as chitta. All our experiences are stored in the mind as well as chitta. And they will be revealed in the future at right time. When the operation of chitta unites with a certain action, the chitta then appears to be auspicious or inauspicious, depending on the particular action. So when we undertake a particular activity with the help of our karmendriya, and we say, based on the kind of activity, we say whether this person is a pious person or impious person. If somebody is performing a pious activity, we say is a pious person. Even if the person is performing impious activity, we say is impious person. But what inspired that person to do that particular activity is their mind and chitta. Because that desire was stored in the mind, or that kind of experience was stored in the mind from the previous life, and one wants to do similar activity once again. Though an action disappears the moment it is performed, from external point of view, today afternoon at 11:30 I had my lunch. It's done. From 11:30 to 11:40, 15 minutes I had my lunch. That having lunch is gone. It's gone forever. But the experience of having that lunch is stored in my chitta. It remains forever. So it's like that. Though an action disappears the moment it is performed, its impression remains in the chitta. Thus, the conclusion has been shown. So, with the help of the mind and chitta, though we may not remember the activities externally, but the impressions or the reactions or the results are stored in our mind and chitta, which will be re-revealed when the right time comes in the future. So, that is the understanding. Yeah, yes, Mataji.
Does this mean, Prabhuji, that in the past life, whatever modes we were controlled by, the same mode we will function in under?
Yes, yes. That is what will be mentioned by Narada Muni. In the future verses, we'll talk about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Prabhuji, and it will also have the impressions of only the past life or many past lives. Like,
Yeah, many past lives. At least Narada Muni currently talking about one life only, because Prachinabari wanted to go to Swarga in the next life, immediate life, not that after 100 lives. So the principle extends over many lifetimes, but generally one makes plans for the immediate life. So in that way we have to see.
okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Now Prachinabari might ask, how can we perceive the subtle body which is not destroyed when the gross body is destroyed? So my dear Narada Muni, you are telling that something called as subtle body, subtle body, subtle body. So मैं सोच रहा था जब मृत्यु आ गया तो सब चले गए. How can, what is that subtle body which will remain same in the next life also? How can I understand the subtle body? How can I perceive the existence of the same subtle body which was there in the previous life, which is there now, which will be there in the future life also? So that is the question. So Narada Muni answers in next two verses. नानुभूतं क्वचानेन देहेन दृष्टमश्रुतं कदाचित् उपलभ्येत यद्रूपं यादृगात्मनि.
Sometimes we suddenly experience something that was never experienced in the present body by sight or hearing. Sometimes we see such things suddenly in dreams.
Yeah, this is the proof. Sometimes one experiences objects in the mind, in the present body, which have not been experienced, seen, or heard in this life, with particular forms and varieties. Sometimes we may think of something, or sometimes we may get a dream of some object which we have never experienced in this current life. So, where from that is coming? That is coming because one had experienced it in one's previous life. That's why it is coming now. So, that is the proof that one has something common in the previous life and current life. That common thing is called as subtle body. In the present body, sometimes one experiences things which have not been experienced, seen, or heard of in this life. Things from the previous body in dreams or imagination. Either in our imagination or in our dreams, we experience some special objects about which we don't know anything, because we have seen them or heard about them or experienced them in our one of our past life, and that information is stored in our chitta and mind, and that is shown to us in a particular dream. The forms and varieties are experienced in the mind in the dream in the current life. So it is like that. So this tells that there is something common in this life and the previous life. That's why they are keep reminded. So that common thing is the subtle body. Then he gives one example, I think. Tenasya tadrusham rajal lingino deha sambhavam श्रद्धस्त्वानुभूतो ortho namana sprashtumarhata.
Therefore, my dear king, the living entity who has a subtle mental covering develops all kinds of thoughts and images because of his previous body. Take this form, take this from me as certain. There is no possibility of concocting anything mentally without having perceived it in the previous body.
So in the previous purport, Prabhupada says that Prabhupada quotes one verse from 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Prapapunna krutam lokam utishva shashwati tama suchinam srimatam ge yoga brashto vijayate. A yogi who did not complete his yoga process would not become successful. But as a result of one's yoga performance, one goes to Swarga, enjoys there for a long time, then takes birth in the Suchinam Srimatam Geye, in the pious Brahmana or in aristocratic family, so that one can continue one's yoga where one stopped. So it is like that. If you remember in third canto, the prayers offered by the Jiva in the womb, teachings of Lord Kapila section, we also spoke about that. Starting from 7th month till the 9th month, till the child comes out of the womb for the last 2 months, 2 to 3 months, 7, 8, 9th, the child able to remember about what he used to do in the last 100 lifetimes. By good fortune, if one was a karma yogi in the last 100 lifetimes, now he makes a plans. Okay, last time I did not do properly these things. This time I will do expertly. I'll do them in proper way so that I will attain the expected results properly. And if one is a Jnana yogi or Ashtanga yogi, one also plans like that. That this time I should do properly so that I'll go back to Brahman. I don't have to take birth again in the womb of another mother. A devotee child also makes a plan like that. So what was the plan of a devotee child is explained in that chapter through the means of the prayers offered by the devotee child. Even the prayers indicates that so my dear Lord, this time I will promise you that as soon as I come out of the womb, I will take up bhakti seriously, and this will be the last birth. I don't want to take any more birth again. So like that, the jiva, devotee jiva prays in the womb. So it's like that. So even while in the womb, one is able to remember 100 lifetimes. But of course, as soon as he comes out of the womb, he forgets. But that is the system arranged by the Lord in this material world. So same way, so whatever were our experiences in the past, which are stored in our mind and chitta, will be revealed during the dream. Though we don't have any experience of those things in the current life. So that shows the existence of some subtle body. So consider for certain those forms and varieties to be produced from a previous body of the jiva. O king, it is not possible for things to appear in the mind that have not been experienced in the past. Narada Muni clearly says that, my dear king, the mind does not produce some new things. Mind only produces things with which it had an experience in the past. In no dream, we get some object with which we don't have any touch. We get some special dreams also. That means we have experienced them in some way or some form in the past. So that is understanding. Just as things seen or heard when a person is young appears in his mind when he is older. Things experienced in many previous bodies appear in the mind in this body. If that is so, then you should know that it is the mind and nothing else. It's the subtle body. So it is like, because it is the mind which is the storehouse of all one's experiences, and the same mind pop-ups some of the past experiences once in a while through the medium of the dreams or imaginations or something like that. So that is the understanding. So this is one verse from third canto, 26th chapter, teachings of Lord Kapila. So what is mind? What are the duties of the mind? So all the 24 elements, their functions are explained in the particular chapter. About mind, Lord Kapila says this. Uh, from the transformation of the Ahankara in mode of goodness, appeared mind. From the mind's general desire to possess objects, desire appears in the form of fantasies about some object, and desire to possess a particular object and notions concerning it appears. So mind has two functions, sankalpa and vikalpa. Because mind is the storehouse of all the past experiences. So generally mind produces common desires. Mind always produces common desires. For example, today, because of Sunday feast, there was a Govinda stall in our temple courtyard. So when people come with their children, etc., etc., as soon as they see stall, they see different things. Pav bhaji, potato, vada pav, and some sweet items, some namkeen items, etc. When one sees 10 different items, the mind chooses only one item. Because though the person had tasted all the 10 items in the past, but one of the 10 items had given a special taste, a special good experience. The mind says that, oh, acha tha, abhi le lo. So then the person purchases that. These are the sankalpa, general desires, which we have experienced. But sometimes the mind produces some unique desires, that is called vikalpa. Some special to possess a particular object. So that is like, though we don't have any idea about that in this life, we never came across that, but the mind says that, okay, you have that, something like that. So that is due to vikalpa function of the mind. So in that way, it is not that mind is creating something, but it is already experienced some lifetime back. It is just popped up now. So in that way. So this is how the subtle body's existence can be established. Then he further continues to speak about the mind, the role of mind. मन एव मनुष्यस्य पूर्वरूपिणि संशति भविष्यतश्च भद्रं ते तथैव न भविष्यता.
O king, all good fortune unto you. The mind is the cause of the living entities attaining a certain type of body in accordance with his association with material nature. According to one's material composition, one can understand what the living entity was in his past life, as well as what kind of a body he will have in the future. Thus, the mind indicates the past and future bodies.
Yeah, here Narada Muni goes into more details. Good fortune to you, O king. The mind of man indicates his past forms and his future forms, and indicates as well whether he will not take another birth at all. Based on a person's current disposition, I can understand that what was his previous disposition and what will be his future disposition. We can also ascertain whether this person is going to take another birth or not. So like that Narada Muni is saying. The present mental states inform us of the past and future inauspicious and auspicious bodies of the jiva. The mind alone indicates the previous bodies of man by his display of the ferocity, fearfulness, mercilessness, and generosity. Miserliness and generosity. So whatever behavior we display, based on that one can understand what kind of person he was in the past and what kind of person he will be in the future. Both can be understood. The present mind indicates he was this type of person previously. It also indicates what his future body will be. By seeing his knowledge and renunciation, by seeing a person's knowledge and renunciation in the present body, one understands that he had complete control of his senses and mind in a previous body, and that he will not be born in the future, na bhavishyata. In from the previous life itself, this person seems to be so self-controlled, so mind-controlled. That's why he is displaying, he is continuing the same thing now, and this person will not take birth again. Like that, one can understand. He will be liberated very sure, and the mind indicates all this. The same mind which always remains in the subtle body does all this. The mind is not produced again and again with each and every gross body which is produced in the womb of a newer and newer mother. Good fortune to you. This means understand this. It is a blessing out of Narada's mercy. So Narada is telling let there be good fortune to you means understand this and follow it so that you will get good fortune. If you follow this. So indirectly telling that whatever you are doing now, you are so much attached to karmakanda rituals because in your previous lifetimes also you are so much attached to karmakanda rituals, and your performance of so much karmakanda rituals now will lead to another birth wherein you again continue to perform same karmakanda rituals. Kindly understand this understanding the importance of practicing bhakti with jnana and vairagya, do bhakti in such a way that you will not get another birth again. So like that, Narada Muni is inspiring Prachinabari so that you will get good fortune to yourself in the next life by not getting any more human birth. So like that.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, will it not imply that the perpetually person will be doing same thing, because whatever he was doing in the past previous life, those impression, that type of, suppose for example person is in the tamasic mode, so he was doing that kind of activity, and that is why his mind is developed in this life in a particular way, and that is why he's to now also is doing the actions, or his reactions are in the tamasic mode, and because he's doing that today, his next body in the future will be also shaped accordingly, so the person will perpetually remain in that state, right?
But still there is a chance of improving one's level of consciousness. Though one may be impelled to do certain things in this current life based on previous samskaras, but with good intelligence, with the right knowledge, one should. That's what Narada Muni is saying, that you kindly understand this is the principle that works in the material world. If at all one want to stop it, one need to understand that one's mind may be impelling one to do the same activities, but with right knowledge, with right determination, one can gradually, slowly stop that impelling desires of the mind and slowly take shelter of jnana and vairagya, and eventually take shelter of bhakti and come back to Godhead. So that endeavor need to be started somewhere. If one does not do any endeavor, as you mentioned, things will go on perpetually. But the human life is meant to take up that special endeavor and stop the perpetual cycle of repeated birth and death cycle, and go back home back to Godhead. That's why Shastras are given to us to help us uh, question what exactly is happening around us.
Yeah.
Mm.
And if one comes across the devotees, that also will make a lot of change in the
Yes,
impression
yes,
in his
yes,
life.
yes. See,
Okay.
just imagine if no one is exposed to devotees or any Shastra, as you said, their life continues perpetually. Then the aim of life is to do activities and live happily and die again, perform act again, take birth again, perform act again, die. It is like a routine cyclical life. But Shastra comes in between and tells that, okay, this is not the purpose of life. Purpose of life is to go back, come back to Godhead, to put a full stop to this repeat cycle. If one takes that seriously, one can do the needful. Otherwise, it will remain perpetual cycle of death, cycle of birth and death.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Adrushtam ashrutam chatra क्वचिन्मनसि दृश्यते यथा तथानुमन्तव्यं देशकालक्रियाश्रयम्.
Sometimes in a dream, we see something never experienced or heard of in this life. But all these incidents have been experienced at different times, in different places, and in different conditions.
Same thing. Narada Muni now elaborates on the same principle about subtle body. Yes, he continues to give more examples about the existence of the subtle body, now subtle body functions. Sometimes one sees in the mind things that are impossible to see or hear in this life. These things should be understood to be experienced dependent on place, time, and action. Some examples are quoted with this. How is it that one sometimes sees impossible things in dreams, such as an ocean and a mountain top with respect to a place, ocean situated on the top of a mountain, stars during the daytime with respect to time. Stars cannot be seen daytime, but in one dreams one sees the stars during day also, and one's own body without head, action. So normally in our daily during daytime when we are awake, we cannot see our body without head, because it is the main principal bodily limb which has eyes. So without those eyes, we can't see the remaining body. Only when there are eyes connected to the head, which is connected to the trunk, only we can see the remaining part of the body. So this example is given. In the dreams, we can see. That is because of the subtle body, like that Narada says. It should be understood that whatever forms appear is dependent on a place, time, or action. So what do you mean by having these examples? The ocean and a mountain top depends on seeing these things, ocean and mountain, in a particular places. So when we go to GV, we see mountains. When we are here in Chowpatty temple, we see the ocean. So but in the night time, I get a dream. The Arabian Ocean being situated on top of Saidri mountains. So mind has experienced two different things at two different places, but in the dream, it combines both. So apparently it appears such kind of things never exist, but it is the mind which combined both experiences together and gives a new experience. Seeing stars in the daylight depends on experiencing stars in the night at a particular time. So daytime we see daytime and nighttime we see the stars. When we go to dream, the mind combines the daytime and stars. So one sees the stars in the daytime only, which generally do not happen. This is like a Vikalpa experience, a particular thing. So mind itself creates a special fantasy for us. So in that way, combining two different experiences. And taking a message or other events depends on action performed during the day. Similarly, one may perceive the illusory action of having one's head cut off in a dream because of a disturbance of the dhatus. So one must have seen in a drama or in a movie that somebody's head has been cut off. So one sees in the dream that one's head is being cut off. There is the experience of seeing somebody else's head is being cut off and also experience of seeing one's own body. So the mind combines both the experiences and shows that one's body being cut off. So like that. So sometimes this is also one function of the subtle body that the mind combines two different experiences and shows pops up that is a different experience. So in that way. Sarve karmanu rodena manasindriya gocharai आयन्ति बहुशो यान्ति सर्वे समनसो जना.
The mind of the living entity continues to exist in various gross bodies and according to one's desire for sense gratification. The mind records different thoughts. In the mind, these appear together in different combinations, and therefore these images sometimes appear as things never seen or never heard before.
All jivas are endowed with subtle bodies. All experiences of the senses come and go in the mind in a particular sequence. So the mind experiences with the help of the five jnana, the five karmendriyas, they come and go, but the result will be stored in the mind. It will never go anywhere. In a day, we perform hundreds of activities, but all are stored in the mind. The senses do not keep the track of all the activities, but the mind keeps the track of all the activities. Like that. One jiva at different times entering into thousands of gross bodies by means of one subtle body and enjoys all material pleasures. Samanasa means with a subtle body. So here the example goes beyond one lifetime only. Currently we are human being. Next previous life we were Devata. Previous life Asura, Gandharva, Kinnara, Kimpurusha, animal, bird, beast. All those experiences were stored in the mind. So in that way, the mind can show our some of the past experiences in our dreams or in our thoughts sometimes. But how to come out of this? Bring the mind to pure goodness platform and focus on the Supreme Lord. With that, slowly we can come out of ghastly experiences. Instead, we can focus on the Supreme Lord and come back to Godhead. As Lord Krishna, as Krishna Prabhupada keeps quoting in each and every purport, take up bhakti, one becomes free from all these the repeated cycle of birth and death. Every purport Prabhupada quotes about that. Sattvaikanište manasi bhagavat parshvavartini tamas chandra masi vedam uparajyavabhasate.
Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. Such observation is not always possible, but it becomes manifest exactly like the dark planet known as Rahu, which is observed in the presence of the full moon.
Here, Narada Muni gives a vivid example. So, what to speak of uh, getting dreams about our past experiences? Sometimes, when one becomes a great devotee, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, one can see the entire universe all together at one shot, and also all one's previous life experiences at one go. Just like Mother Yashoda saw the entire universe within the mouth of Lord Krishna, Markandeya Muni saw the entire universe within the abdomen of Lord Vatapatrashayi. So that is possible, like that it says. If one's mind is situated in Shuddha Sattva, that is only possible when the mind is situated in Shuddha Sattva, not in normal goodness or in any other mode. By the side of the Lord, being situated next to the Lord, sometimes one sees the whole universe directly, just as Rahu occasionally approaches the moon. Everyone sees all these things in a particular order. Sometimes there is simultaneous observation of everything. So at one go, we may get only one, we may get revealed only of one experience. So we in one dream, we only get experience of one particular thing. But sometimes there is an experience of everything. When is that? When the mind is constantly situated in Shuddha Sattva, pure Krishna consciousness, pure goodness, situated next to the Lord, the devotee may see the entire universe directly, just as the Lord sees it by Lord's will. Lord also sees the entire universe at one go. Similarly, a devotee can also see by the will of the Lord. For instance, Lord Krishna showed the universe to his mother, Yashoda, when he ate dirt. Though one does not deserve to see this, sometimes one can see it. Example is Rahu sometimes approaches the moon. Generally, we don't see Rahu, but during eclipse, when there is eclipse of lunar eclipse and solar eclipse, during the eclipse time, we can see the Rahu, who actually covered the sun or moon. Other times, we cannot see him completely. So that is understanding. So with an example here, Narada says that the subtle body can show this also. By the mercy of the Lord, when we are in pure goodness, it can reveal the entire universe with all our past lives, where all we went here, here, there, everything can be shown in one go. It's like that.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, can you please explain, because I didn't understand this Rahu ka thing clearly. Means normally we are not able to see Rahu, but sometimes during eclipse one can see him. Similarly, the other whole of the universe normally no one can see at one go, but by Krishna's mercy sometimes one can see like that. It is the correct
Yes,
and
yes.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Because the subtle body is not destroyed when the gross body is destroyed at the time of death. So one cannot say that there is another doer and another enjoyer in each life. Because the subtle body same is carried forward life after life, is the same doer, same enjoyer. This has been explained till now. There is another doubt. Through the gross body, the subtle body acts as the doer and enjoyer. Fine. But the subtle body never acts alone. In the absence of the gross body, the jiva no longer is a doer. He should then get liberation. So Nardamani is saying that, not Nardamani, Prachanabari is saying that you are telling that whatever activities we perform today with the help of with the subtle body, with the help of the gross body, we experience them in the next life with the same subtle body, but with the help of a different gross body. What happens in the instant state when there is no gross body? That time one should be liberated, Because there is no gross body, there is no action, there is no bondage. So one should be in liberated condition. Is it not? So then Narada Muni answers for the question. Naham mameti bhavoyam purushe vyavadayite यावद् बुद्धिमनोक्षार्ता गुणव्यूहो हि अनादिमान्.
As long as there exists the subtle and material body composed of intelligence, mind, senses, sense objects, and the reactions of the material qualities, the consciousness of false identification and its relative objectives, the gross body exists as well.
So here our Narada Muni says that the connection with the gross body expressed through me and mind, aham mameti, does not cease for the jiva as long as the beginningless subtle body composed of, the subtle body is made up of intelligence, mind, senses, and sense objects continues to exist. So Narada Muni is telling that. So my dear king, it is not like that. You may see the activities only when gross body is there. But between the time period when there is no gross body, but the jiva is changing from one gross body to other gross body, it is not a liberation. Because the concept of aham mameti is not only with the gross body, it is actually deeply ingrained in the subtle body. It may be manifested through gross body, but it is deeply ingrained in the subtle body. The connection with the gross body expressed through me and mind does not cease for the jiva as long as the beginningless subtle body composed of intelligence. So buddhi means intelligence as well as chetana. The mind means mind as well as ahankara. Aksha means jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. Artha means the five tanmatras continues to exist. As long as they are there, the identity will be there. As long as the identity will be there will be no liberation. So like that Narada Muni says. For the jiva, the connection with the gross body, the condition of me and mine is not cut as long as the subtle body, a transformation of the three modes of material nature in the form of intelligence and chitta, mind and ego, the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, and the five tanmatras continue to exist. When did this start? That subtle body does not have a known time of beginning, anadinvan. Anybody can tell that when the subtle body began? When was the birth of subtle body? No one can tell. The time when Jiva comes into this material world, subtle body manifested. So when that happened, we don't know. Maybe at the time of creation or after that or before that, we don't have any idea. That's why subtle body is said to be Anadi. Beginningless subtle body. So in that way. Then Prachinabari asks one more question. Just as the gross bodies are created and destroyed thousands of times, while the subtle body remains. The subtle body same from the beginning of our entry into material world. So, but you are telling that gross bodies are keep changing life after life. While the gross body remains there, while gross body remains, there is destruction of the subtle body when deep sleep occurs and creation of the subtle body when deep sleep ends. Why can we not say this? This is explained in two verses. So, my dear Narada Muni, you are telling that subtle body is anadi and gross body keeps changing and the aham mameti will be there as long as subtle body is there. But as far my understanding is that when we sleep, when we go to deep sleep, we also forget the subtle body. That means subtle body is destroyed. When we get up next morning, we again regain new subtle body. Why don't we say that subtle body is dying at the time when we go to deep sleep and again taking birth when we get up? क्यों नहीं बोल सकते ऐसा? So for which Narada Muni answers in the next two verses. Subtle body might be going to take rest, but it will not go through destruction and creation again and again. Till the time we don't take up bhakti seriously, the subtle body will not be destroyed. So that he will answer in the next two verses. Supti मूर्छोपतापेषु प्राणायन विघातता नेहतेऽहम् इति ज्ञानं मृत्यु प्रज्वेरयोरपि.
When the living entity is in deep sleep, when he faints, when there is some great shock on account of severe loss at that time of death, or when the body temperature is very high, the moment of the life air is arrested. At that time, the living entity loses knowledge of identifying the body with the self.
So Nardamuni tells that, yes, my dear king, I will give you more conditions. What are the different conditions during which we forget about our subtle body? All those things Nardamuni states. Only because of the stoppage of the movements of the senses in the states of deep sleep, fainting, and deep grief, and in the states of death and death fever, prajvara, one has no self-awareness, but the subtle body does not cease to exist. Apparently, we may not remember who we really are. We may completely forget about our identity, our original identity, or imagined identity. But that doesn't mean that subtle body is destroyed or one is liberated, not like that. Subtle body continues to exist, but because of some psychophysical conditions, one may be in deep sleep, during deep sleep, one may forget during fainting, one may forget during coma or deep grief, or at the time of death or during death fever, one may forget who one is, but subtle body is not destroyed. That is only a no self-awareness for small time period. Upatapa means suffering due to separation from someone dear. Because of the stoppage of movements of the senses during deep sleep and other conditions, and the consequent inability to the senses to carry out their functions, one does not have awareness of the self identity. I am so and so. In deep sleep, none of the senses or mind function. That's why one loses one's identity. In coma, one loses one's identity. In fainting, also, when somebody is hit badly, when one faints, one forgets one's identity. When someone who is very dear passed away, one cries intensely that one forgets who one is. That they are supposed to be sober and like that one forgets in that extreme painful condition also. At the time of death, one forgets who one is, and after next birth, also one forgets who one is. And during death-like fever, also one becomes unconscious. But though subtle body is not functioning, that doesn't mean that subtle body is destroyed. It is a temporary sleeping state of the subtle body. In the dream state, the external knowledge senses do not function. Though there is greater degree of stoppage of movement in the state of death and prajvara, and great difficulty in those states, the subtle body is still not absent. Still, the subtle body is there. It may not be functioning actively, but it is still there. It is not completely destroyed. So, like that. The mind and ahankara and intelligence may go to sleep, but Chetana will be still functioning, one is still alive. So, in that way, the Chetana, one of the component of the subtle body, is still attentive. So, in that way. So, this is how Narada Muni is kind of establishing what is subtle body, what are its different functions, what all happens to it at different states of existence, etc., etc. He kind of gives the complete information of the subtle body, because the whole story is all about that. The Puranjana story is all about how the intelligence and chitta functions. How the here now he's talking about more so about the mind, how mind functions, subtle body functions. It's all like subtle sense in this entire section. And
Prabhuji,
if uh,
Hare Krishna, like
yes,
here,
ma'am.
whatever is mentioned, all these conditions are where the awareness of subtle body is not there. That
Yes.
is because also it is mentioned at the time of death. So at the time of death, means if the subtle body is not there, then the person will be liberated only, no? Because gross body is also getting destroyed, and the subtle body is also not there. But it is only the momentary awareness of the subtle body is lost at the time of death. And then when the gross body is lost, then the awareness of subtle body will be there, and then one will develop the next gross body.
Yes, yes. Death also we can take like this. After death, one there is awareness, but when we go to day, one will go to hell. There one gets a new gross body. The previous awareness is forgotten. Afterwards, one gets a new birth. Again, the previous awareness is forgotten. Intermittently, one gets remembrance, but later on one forgets. So it's like that. But wherever we may be forgetting, that doesn't mean that subtle body is destroyed. Subtle body is there. It just momentarily loses its awareness. So in that way.
Okay, so awareness of subtle body will be only there when one has the gross body properly functioning. That time only one will be aware of the subtle body.
Yes, yes. When there is gross body, subtle body functions a lot. Even now, a couple of verses, even the next verse talks about that. Even though gross body is functioning during childhood, the subtle body does not manifest its actual functioning.
Okay.
Will so even the person is alive, the small kid is there, but subtle body is not yet become fully functional because gross body is not yet developed to manifest the desires of the subtle body. So like
Okay.
that. Hmm.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
as you rightly said, when there is a proper gross body, the subtle body manifests fully. When there is improper gross body, the subtle body goes to sleep state, but it
Yeah.
does not become destroyed.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Garbe balyepi अपौष्कल्यात् एकादशविधं तदा लिङ्गं न दृश्यते यूना कुहुवां चन्द्रमसो यथा.
When one is a youth, all the 10 senses and the mind are completely visible. However, in the mother's womb or in the boyhood state, the sense organs and the mind remains covered, just as the full moon is covered by the darkness of the dark moon night.
Because of seats of the senses are not fully developed, because of the seeds of the senses are fully not developed, the subtle body evident by 11 senses, which are clearly visible in a state of youth, is not visible in a child within the womb or in a newborn baby, just as the moon is not visible during the new moon phase. Though moon is there in the sky, but we can't see the moon during Amavasya. Similarly, though the subtle body is there in the child when within the womb, when born as an infant, as a small child, till he becomes youthful, we can't understand what is the nature of the subtle body by one's behavior, by one's thought process. All these things are not manifested when the child is in the womb or when the child is an infant baby or when child is growing up. So in that way. Because of the lack of development of the abodes of the senses, the subtle body, the cause of Ahankara, evident by the 11 senses of the young man, is not visible when the child is in the womb or is very infant. So it's like that. Only when a boy becomes youth, then one's desires, whatever one's previous samskara, they start manifesting in the form of one's desires or one's determinations and activities, etc. But before that, though the boy is alive and growing up, but still they are not manifested. For that, the gross body should become well developed. So in that way, an example is given to show its invisibility. It is like the moon during the dark moon phase, invisible but present. On Amavasya or subsequent 1 or 2 days, the moon is present, but we can't see it properly. But the moon grows bigger and bigger. We understand the identity of the moon existing in the outer sky. So, in that way. So, basically, though subtle body is there, but we may not be understand its functions till the time the gross body becomes developed. When the gross body is developed enough, then subtle body starts manifesting its desires and activities, etc. So, in that way. So again the same verse. Last Sunday we discussed about this verse. It came once again. Arte hi avidyamanepi samshrutirnani vartate dhyayato vishayam asya swapne anartagamato yata.
When the living entity dreams, the sense objects are not actually present. However, because one has associated with the sense objects, they become manifest. Similarly, the living entity with undeveloped senses does not cease to exist materially, even though he may not be exactly in contact with the sense object.
So here Nardamuni says that therefore, just as enjoyment objects continues in a dream, though the objects are not present, samsara does not cease for a person attached to sense objects, though the subtle body stops functioning during deep sleep. So, my dear Prachina Barhi, just because subtle body is not functioning, that does not mean that person has no desires or person has no activities. It is not like that. As soon as the subtle body is ready, as soon as the gross body is ready, subtle body gets into action and performs all the activities. Just like during the daytime, we may not do certain activities, but in the night time, the dream will fulfill all those activities. As long as we meditate on some kind of results, there is no end to samsara. Things will happen somehow or other. If not today, tomorrow it will happen. Something like that. Just as uh, the enjoyment of the objects continues in a dream, though the objects are not present in our physical presence, samsara does not cease for a person attached to sense objects, though the subtle body stops functioning during the deep sleep. Even though when we go to bed during the night time, the subtle body may not be functioning. That doesn't mean that there is end of all the material desires. The desires are also sleeping in the subtle body. Next morning when we get up, the desires again continue to manifest. Only when all the desires are completely removed, only when there is only one desire to go back, come back to Godhead, then the subtle body will be completely destroyed and one will go back, come back to Godhead. Till then, one samsara will continue on in this material world. Just for some time, subtle body does not work. That does not give an indication that one is liberated. So when there are no more desires, then there is a destruction of subtle body. So like that, Nardamuni is saying. In states like deep sleep, there is obstruction to the subtle body's functions, but it is not absent. Subtle body is there in a sleeping state. It may not be doing any activities, but it is there. Some say that during sleep, and final devastation, the subtle body does not exist because of merging into Prakriti. Of course, at the final devastation, subtle body enters into Prakriti, but still the desires are there with the soul. The karma and swabhava are still with the soul in the next creation. When the soul gets the new subtle body, the activities will continue to manifest. But they also say that this is not liberation. It is still samsara. An example is given. Even the Mahapralaya, during the Mahapralaya, even when subtle body is completely destroyed by merging into Prakriti, but the karma and swabhava are still there with the jiva and will continue in the next life. So in that way, that is not called liberation and still it is called samsara. Just as a person who meditates on sense objects perceives forms for enjoyment in a dream, though the physical objects are not present. So in deep sleep, though the subtle body does not function, there is no liberation because of the impressions having not been destroyed. The desires, the experiences are not completely destroyed. Even though momentarily the subtle body may not be functioning, that does not mean that one is liberated. One should continue one's samsara till the time all one's desires are completely eradicated. One only has one desire to serve the Lord for the rest of eternity in person, the spiritual world. Till then, one samsara will continue in this material world. So, like that, Narada Muni says that what is the subtle body, how long it exists, when it started, what are the different functions of subtle body, when it functions, when it does not function, when it manifests its desire, how it is manifesting its desires through so many examples. He is trying to give us the subtle signs of the subtle body.
Hare
Ha-
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like how we should understand is does the karma and swabhava gives rise to the subtle body? Because earlier also in one of the class you explained that at the time of Mahapralaya, though the subtle bodies are forcefully destroyed, but the impressions are stored in the karma and swabhava form, and when they come back again in the next creation, they will get the subtle body. So means impressions are stored beyond subtle body into karma and swabhava. It does it mean that way, that and that is why means even when the subtle body is forcefully destroyed, from that karma and swabhava again the subtle body will develop.
Yes, yes. Only during the time of annihilation, all the impressions in the form of karma and swabhava are staying with the soul. Because that time there are no other facilities. So, for example, you can store your wealth either in the alamara or in the bank, or you can transform it into digital money. Matlab, subtle body is like either the bank locker or alamara in your home. So when you don't have any faith in the almara or the bank locker, you can transform all the wealth into digital number, so that no one will steal the digital number. So in that way.
What is the nature of karma and swabhava? Means what exactly?
See, karma and swabhava is basically, swabhava is one's disposition. Shraddha mayo ayam purusha. What is the belief system? What is the faith one develops? That is called swabhava. Karma is basically whatever activity we like to do and the desire to do is always there. That is karma. So based on when we do certain activity, we like it and we want to do the same activity again and again. That liking to do that activity is called karma. Impetus to perform a particular activity is called karma.
Okay. Okay. Means not the actually action performed is also karma, na Prabhuji, and the tendency to do particular karma again and again because of the disposition, that is also karma.
Yes, yes. Of course, in total, karma is basically, from our normal point of view, we say he is doing some activity, he is doing some karma. But grossly, we see he is doing some activity. But in the background, if he likes it, he will want to do once again. If he does not like, he never wants to do it again. That like or dislike is stored in the subtle mind.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so one performs action because of his disposition and tendency to do or liking for doing that activity, and so that whole
Yes.
thing, the
So
liking or
based on the desire that
disposition,
is based on the current experience, some desire is stored in the mind, and that will manifest future karmas.
yeah. So that whole disposition, liking, and actual activity, the everything is termed as karma.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna, other devotees.
Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I had question in between.
Hmm.
This past life experiences and all. I don't know whether to ask in this forum, but can I ask?
Yeah, quick.
There are healers who who take you to past life, and if you have any problem,
Yeah,
they. So is it worth doing?
it's up to you. Do worth doing and all. Generally, people do when there is a critical situation they are going through. They want to understand why things are happening like this. So in certain condition they do, and some people out of curiosity they do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to case.
Case, yeah, person. Okay.
Somebody is going through so physical illness or mental illness, they try to do this regression.
Yeah.
So I mean, it depends. Reiki and all these things are there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm. It
And also,
depends. If one
yeah.
wants to do understand more details about that these are like approaching a astrologer. Some problems are happening in one's life. They approach a astrologer. They want to understand, is there any reason behind these problems? Whatever we do, nothing is happening. Can you suggest some remedy? So it's something like that only.
Mm-hmm. Astrology is one kind of taking shelter of karma kanda types, and here it's a healing thing. So I was just wondering whether to.
Astrology is also healing only for healing purpose only.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So they tell what is the karmic reactions we are getting, and by doing what we can kind of get relief temporarily, at least, if not permanently.
Okay. Fine. Somebody had asked me this, so I was like, I'm not sure what should I say. So I thought I'll
If
just.
they are not able to figure out something is really troubling them, they can do the needful.
Okay. Okay.
It should not be like a regular practice, but when we are not able to figure out anything what's happening, then one can take help of such things from a genuine person.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. That is. Thank you, Roger. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks.
So we'll stop here and we'll continue. Next week we will not have class. I'm going out of town. So the week after that